I strongly believe that children need boundaries, and they need to know specifically what those boundaries are. And I do believe that children, even I would say before the age of 21, should not be using cannabis or any other substances, because it can have a huge impact on their developing brain. Just talk to your kids about what's going on now. This latest research, it just came out last year in 2022, and found that the prefrontal cortex, when kids use THC, the higher potency weed, that it actually thins the prefrontal cortex, so their place of decision-making, planning, and all of that, and they've found that out. So it's definitely something that is not talked about very often and needs to be out there. There's this thought, because it's legal in a lot of states, that it's safe. And when we think about that, kids will use it a lot, and they'll say, it's just weed. It's just weed. When I was growing up, which was a long, long time ago, the average content of THC, and THC is the psychoactive ingredient in weed that gets you high, that gives the high feeling. The average percentage of THC in weed or marijuana was about 0.5 to 3 to 5%. Nowadays, when a backpack is confiscated at school, the average percentage of THC is about 15%. And this is because farmers have gotten better. And one of the most frightening things is the percent of these concentrates that are out there that kids are using, and they can be as high as 90 to 95% THC. We can't do clinical trials and take kids in and say, hey, we're gonna give you marijuana and you're gonna smoke every day, and we're gonna see what that does to you, this higher percentage. In other countries, they have found that when they took a group of kids from 14 to 19 who smoked marijuana 10 to 30 times a year, they said that that was chronic use, which we know that there's a lot of kids, they call it wake and bake. You know, they're doing it from the time they get up. And they have found that that there is an increased risk of these kids who smoke this higher potency THC weed, that it actually can increase the risk of psychosis. And so psychosis being hearing things that aren't there, seeing things that aren't there, that there's an increased risk of addiction, which a lot of people say weed's not addictive or marijuana's not addictive, and that's untrue, especially with this higher percentage THC marijuana. And also increases in anxiety and depression. And all of these things, if you look at the media, it's everywhere that it's basically, you know, this is a gift to us, right? It grows from the ground, this is a great gift. And a lot of times I say, you know, it's not marijuana, it's THC. And this is a giant experiment with our kids. And I say this is definitely during the adolescent years is when it has the greatest impact, and the risk of psychosis can develop. And if a child has a genetic predisposition, if there's someone in their family that might suffer from schizophrenia or psychosis, something like that, plus the amount of marijuana they're smoking, how early they are when they start using it, and how often they use it, all of those increase their risks of developing psychosis.